asked what sets Goa apart, many have tried to answer too. Is it the sun? Is it the sea? Is it those long stretches of sand? Is it Susegad, that much abused Goan term for absolute chilled outedness? It is all that, but somehow, despite the fact that its parts are so spectacular, it always manages to be more than the sum of them. It's few who, having been there once, can resist a return. And those who hail from these sun-soaked shores will attest that the cliché holds true. You can take the boy out of Goa, but it's hard to get Goa entirely out of the boy. Chef Floyd Cardozo's living proof is one of the few Indian chefs to take on and conquer the world's culinary capital, New York City. Goa remains, if not a touchstone, a place that he returns to constantly, in person and for his table. Nice view, huh?
Yeah, not too shabby.
So good to be home?
Feels really good to come here.
Now with your experience overseas, with, you know, all the acclaim that's sort of come your way, what does it feel like with that perspective, sort of coming back here?
It's you know, for me, it's very important to be rooted in something.
Right.
You know, take the high-flying life you leave and the fast pace and come back and do a slow, laid back, you know, enjoy life kind of thing.
Right. What are you sort of excited to try? Because I know Goan food you've got covered, right?
Yeah, so Goa has been, since it was a colony, a Portuguese colony, has that influence of foreign food into its cuisine for years. So I think it's a natural thing for it to happen. Okay, I don't see how they treat the ingredients and how much fun they're having, because I think ultimately when you cook, you gotta have fun.
Agreed. So, what do you think? Hard as it is to tear ourselves away from this beach, is it perhaps time to start eating?
I think it's about that time.
Yeah. So the plan then is to explore mostly non-traditional eateries, mostly because our first stop winds up being a little more classic. The Siddharth de Goa is an institution, a hotel dedicated to celebrating all things Goan, architecture, objets d'art, down to the rather serious statuary celebrating the three facets of Vasco da Gama. So unsurprisingly then, the Alfama restaurant at the Siddharth looks to the Portuguese part of Goa's history. While its look is charming, old world even, inspired by a Lisbon town square, we're taking advantage of the weather and their remarkable view with a table set against it. As we take our seat, Executive Chef Suneet Sharma is introducing us to the first course. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I present to you?
Wow, yes, of course.
Crab cakes.
Would you like crab cake?
Oh, delicious.
Lovely.
And bread, chicken and almond soup.
Ooh, nice. Yes, that's a bread soup. The first one I've been served with chicken, beans and almonds. It's thick, it's hearty, and in the best tradition is a recipe born out of necessity.
Bread, you cannot preserve bread forever. So bread 1 day old, 2 day old, when it becomes crusty, you put it into a soup. Makes it very, very wholesome as well. Alfama is based on the old Bohemian town square in Lisbon, and the food is also from Portugal. Yeah. It's very, very European influenced. You can see the plating that is being done. Ingredients, most of them are sourced locally.
An example of which is this. They're coriander-laced crab cakes. These are fresh, bright, served with lemon aioli and green apple slaw.
And if I have a choice when I go to eat, I'll always choose crab over lobster, because I think crab has so much more sweetness. And anytime you have to work for something, when something doesn't give it up easily, it always tastes much better.
Agreed. And then we move on to the mains. Grilled chicken kafrial done just a little differently. The chicken here is stuffed with a little more masala and a little more chicken mince.
What's that on the bottom?
That's the Goan poi.
Poi, awesome. Yeah.
But the dish that the chef seemed proudest of was this, the impressive-looking rack of lamb.
And that's lamb rack, cooked traditionally braised and with a topping of peri-peri sauce.
Okay, and this is...
That's mint croquet, yes, and local spinach on the side.
Okay.
When we are presenting Indian food, local Goan food as well, like this, presented this way, the Westerners are, when they travel to India, they come and taste it and they're like, we never saw food like this before. Not Indian food like this.
Are we going to swap at some point? I thought you said you share, but you never do.
Share? I was like, I don't want to be the greedy one. speaking of sharing, the desserts are coming up. Two of them, one a trio of chocolate mousses, milk, white and dark, the other a trio of three things Goa does best. Serradura or sawdust, a confection of crushed biscuits and custard, much better than it sounds, the jaggery and coconut-based todol, and of course that layered labour of love, bibinka.
Sort of no meal experience you can have that bibinka will not make it better.
You know what, and also what's a great thing about food, when you eat something, whatever you made, whatever cuisine anywhere in the world, it's got to transport you to where you first ate it.
Yes.
When I eat bibinka, I think of my great-grandmother's house here in Kalangut. You relive that memory every time you eat them, and that's what makes food so much. And they also say food is so personal, you know. That's the only thing you actually put in your mouth. You don't put too many things in your mouth. But food, it's extremely personal.
It is, and it's about to get more so as we tear ourselves away. Our next destination is a while away near Anjuna Beach. Sakana is a new and interesting addition to the Goan culinary scene. It specializes in Japanese food, and certainly before we even begin to tuck in, they've got the look down pat. It's charming, it's bright, best of all, it's happy, with lovely little flourishes, cherry blossoms, pictures, the works. And even better, it was made clear almost from the minute that we sat down that we were going to be both well-fed and well-watered.
Say in Japan, kampai.
Kampai.
So off to a good start, and then on to the sushi. Philadelphia rolls with fish, vegetables and cream cheese. The salmon rolls too, equally satisfying. What's interesting is local short grain rice is used for the sushi, and it works very well, especially with lashings of soya, ginger and wasabi to wash it down. I was getting my fixings ready when suddenly I realized that I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Most Japanese people, and this is what I learned the hard way, and I would do that too.
Yeah.
What they do is they pour the soy.
Okay.
Or shoyu in a bowl.
Huh.
And you never want to waste it.
Okay.
Because in Japan it's not about wasting anything.
Right.
So you put just what you need.
Oh.
And if you need more, you go back and get
it.
Okay. And then the second thing they do is if they do get the wasabi, you put it on the side of your plate.
Right.
And as you pick up your sushi, you put a little piece on it, lightly dip it in it, and then you eat it.
All right.
It is better that way. And now that I know how it's done, it's time to move on to their plate of lovely local snapper sashimi, served here a little differently. This is what they call hot sashimi. It's served with hot oil on it to give it a light poach, and is without question, at least thus far, the dish of the day.
This is very, very nice.
Yeah.
Using fish from here and treating it in a way that is going to be, and this is very commonly done in Japan, by putting a hot oil, you're changing the texture a little bit.
But not too much.
And then people will eventually move to something like this, which is raw fish, because they see the way it's treated.
This was followed by the beef yakinuku barbecued steak, again surprisingly effective, tender and full of flavor. Along with that, the gyoza, those juicy Japanese dumplings here filled with pork. We're only half done and it's already looking like a pretty good day.
Good gyoza.
Very good. Got a little bit of heat to it.
If you were to open back in India, you know, now with everything you know you've seen having wowed the Western world, would you do what you do there, or would you adjust it and do something differently here?
I would adjust it. I would, if I did something in India, I would adjust it to using things that are available here. Trying to do the things that I do there, not embracing the bounty of India, would be counter to what I do as a chef.
Yeah.
I mean, and I go back. I met Alice Waters when I first opened Tabla, and she came in one day, and I said, "Oh, you guys in California are so lucky because you have all the produce that you want."
Yeah.
And she turned to me, and she looked me in the eye, and I'll never forget this. She was sitting along the wall in the lower level of my restaurant, and she turned to me and says, "New York has the best potatoes and apples. As soon as you figure out how you can use those," it was in the middle of winter, so there's nothing around. As soon as you figure out how you can do that, she said, that's when you're going to be a great chef. And you know, for me, that was my aha moment. Is like, yeah, that's what it is.
But do you think a place like this actually suits Goa? Like, again, like I would sort of look around and say it works perfectly, but I would never have expected it here.
Why not Japanese? And Japanese is a rice-based culture, which is Goa is a rice-based culture too.
That is entirely true.
And Japanese love beer, and Goans love beer.
Another thing both love? Sweet. Here it's chocolate passion fruit tart garnished with green tea icing.
Yeah, it's very clean and Japanese in its flavor. Yeah.
All right, so what do you think? Goa looking good?
So far, yeah. This is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. All right, wonderful. Well, let's hope there's more coming up where this came from.
Yeah.
Okay?